I grew up in Hayesville. My mom, dad, my brother and I. My dad was a truck driver. Mom worked for one of the small aircraft companies. She's the one that kind of held the fort down, tried to keep us all in line a little bit, including my dad. She was raising 3 kids, basically. There weren't really a lot of problems with heart disease on my mom's side. My grandparents lived to be way up into their 80s. She kept having these attacks where her heart would race. Not so much a pain in her chest, but it was just like this really, well, her heart was racing, and it would kind of, it would scare her, and it would often lead to like an anxiety attack or something along those lines. So it kind of changed who she was after a while because she didn't know when it was going to happen. She was having a lot of different tests done, trying to figure out what it was. Everybody said her heart always checked out fine. And because she couldn't get a diagnosis or find out what it was, you know, everybody wanted to send her to a psychiatrist or something that was wrong with her mentally. And she was, so she got more and more frustrated with that, and that really kind of took its toll, not being able to figure out what it was that was causing all of this. She went to numerous doctors, and I don't know when exactly she was diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse, but at some point along the way, in all of the testing and everything, she finally got a diagnosis. My dad was a boxing Marine, truck driving Teamster, so I mean, you know, testosterone out of every pore. In the early 90s, he had his first heart attack, and it really shocked him. Never had any health problems. He was never sick. He was, even till the day he died, he always, you know, liked to say, I've never been a sick a day in my life, you know. but he had his first heart attack in the early 90s, and that really kind of woke him up. And I think we all became a little bit more aware of what we should be doing, but we just never really followed through like we should have. Curtis and I grew up together in Hayesville. We went to elementary school together, lived in the same neighborhood. I just couldn't believe that, you know, I was finally going out with my crush from back in the day. It was so weird. It was very surreal. And so I was like quiet, which is so unlike me. And so he did a lot of the talking. And he explained on our first date. He said, you know, I'm really sick. He had been diagnosed with diabetes and high blood pressure 10 years prior. And he just about 6 months before we went out for the first time, and he had a small stroke. So you know, my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer a couple of weeks prior to our first date. And I knew that that would take a lot for me be taking care of her and maybe my dad a little at the same time. So it was like the worst timing, you know, of all, but it worked. Memorial Day 2 years ago, 2012. My mom got really weak and was put in the hospital. And from the hospital, she went to a rehab hospital for 2 months. And then she got to go home finally for about 18 hours and then had a stroke and had to be taken back to the hospital. And then she never made it back home. I mean, my dad was instantly just devastated. You know, because my dad had had 2 heart attacks and didn't take care of himself like the way he should. You know, he was lost and he didn't know what to do, didn't want to live. He'd always thought like he'd go first. He always wanted to go first. He never wanted to live without her. She had been the love of his life and he could not imagine living without her. So after she passed, I ended up staying with him about 4 days a week, 3 to 4 days a week, then I'd come home. Usually on the weekends I would be home. I'd be home with Curtis. And, you know, I guess he was taking care of me as I was taking care of Dad. Just kind of swept me off my feet, and I wasn't alone, you know, taking care of my parents. And that was a good feeling. You know, there was some security in that while I was going through the scariest time of my life. You know, he was there to be there for me. So it was about 6 months after my mom had passed, and I was staying with my dad all the week and taking care of him. And then on April 18th, couldn't get a hold of Curtis. You know, I had called him that morning to say, hey, I didn't hear your voice this morning. I don't like that. And I was going to be home the next day. So he didn't call me back, which was unusual. He had passed. He had passed unexpectedly. He had had a stroke in his sleep. And from everything the doctors say, it was instant, and he wouldn't have known, you know, what had happened. It was a brain bleed at the brainstem, so it would have been very quick from what I understand, and that he wouldn't have known what was going on. And there was no warning, never imagining that at 45, his life would be over. And all the things that he missed out on, and that his family misses out on because of heart disease and stroke. After he passed, I basically just kind of moved in with my dad and just started kind of taking care of my dad more full-time, I guess, if you would say, and just being there with him. And I had gone back to work last August. When I went back out to his house after that first day of work, I walked in and he was gone. They said that he had died of a heart attack. He was in, you know, he was in bed, so I'm assuming he had been asleep or whatever, but I don't really know. But I do know that he was there by himself and tried so hard to be there for both of these men in my life, and both of them died alone. And that's been kind of hard to live with. Kind of came home. After I found my dad that day, I came home and I sat down on my couch. And that's where I stayed. I would come home from work, exhausted, you know, sit down, watch TV. Get up, go to work, come home, sit down, watch TV. But that had pretty much been, you know, my life for since last August, I guess. At Christmas time, I got this locket from Curtis's daughter, and it has a quote from Winnie the Pooh, something that Christopher Robin says. It's something that Curtis had put on my Facebook page when we first started dating. It says, "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." And he had said that even if even if we're not together, I'll always be with you. And this was like 6 months into us dating. So anyway, Amanda had given me this locket at Christmas, and I'm driving to work one morning and I heard the commercial for the Better You program and the Heart Healthy Makeover for women. And I don't know, something just clicked, and it was like, okay, braver, stronger, smarter, braver, stronger, smarter. Knowing what I know now about heart disease and how it affects our bodies, you know, I'd like to say I'm doing things a lot different. I am up and off the couch again. You know, I've been walking at the dog park with my dog and my best friend. I've been, you know, just wanting to get out of the house. That has been a huge thing. My fear has always been, since the summer was getting closer and closer, that I could go one of two ways this summer. I'm going to do okay and, you know, do what I need to do. Or I'm going to go to the couch and gain 762 pounds because it's the first summer in a long time I haven't had to take care of anybody. It's just me. And I've never been really good at putting myself first. So this is going to be, you know, kind of a day-by-day thing. Knock on wood, I've always been pretty healthy, you know, good blood pressure, cholesterol, all of that good stuff. But I realize that it does run in my family now, obviously. It is something, I do have a lot of the risk factors that if I don't change things, I know that I could also be at risk. It helps to educate people so that they don't have to go through what my mom went through, what my dad went through, what Curtis and his family is going through, that people can get educated and do better for themselves. Thank you for letting me share my story and for supporting the American Heart Association so that people like my mom and my dad and Curtis don't have to die alone. Thank you.